There is a crocodile in the Congo with a piece of its tail missing. Not torn, not ragged. A clean half moon, sheared out in one bite, the edges smooth as if someone pressed a cookie cutter into flesh. The animal that did it wasn't a crocodile. It was a fish. Nearly the length of a grown man, heavier than most people, carrying 32 teeth that lock together like a bear trap. And here's the strange part. The world's most feared river is the Amazon. This fish has never lived there, yet it outranks everything the Amazon can throw at you. Ask anyone to name the most dangerous fish alive, and you'll hear the same answer. Piranha. The word does the work all by itself. A silver disc the size of a dinner plate, teeth like a saw blade, moving in swarms that can supposedly strip an animal to bone in minutes. The Amazon built that legend, and the Amazon has kept it for a century. Every nature special, every horror film, every schoolyard dare runs on the same picture of red water and a thrashing shape pulled under. The piranha is the mascot of freshwater fear. But the mascot isn't the champion. The piranha belongs to a much larger group of fish called the characins, and that lineage didn't stay in the Amazon, and it didn't stop at the size of a dinner plate. On another continent, in another river, the same basic body plan grew and grew, until it became something the piranha only pretends to be. It's called the Goliath tigerfish. It lives in the Congo River basin and the deep water of Lake Tanganyika, thousands of miles from South America. And it is, in every measurable way, the piranha's bigger, meaner cousin. Start with the size, because the size alone breaks the picture in your head. A Goliath tigerfish can reach nearly 2 meters, close to 6.5 feet, and the heaviest ever recorded weighed around 70 kilograms. That's over 150 pounds of muscle built in the shape of a blade. A typical adult runs about 1.5 meters and 50 kilos, which is still larger than the person reading this. Put a piranha next to it, and the piranha becomes bait. This is what the characin family produced when nothing told it to stay small, and yet, with its mouth shut, it hides all of it. A Goliath tigerfish looks almost ordinary at rest. A long, streamlined silver body with faint dark stripes running its length, the marks that earned it the tiger in its name. It could pass for any big, fast river fish, sleek and unremarkable, right up until it opens its jaws. The scientific name gets closer to the truth. Hydrocynus means water dog, and that's the better warning, a predator wearing the shape of something harmless. The whole animal is a piece of misdirection. Everything dangerous about it stays folded away behind a face that gives you no reason to be afraid until it's already too late. Now the teeth, because this is where the easy comparison starts to fall apart. You'd assume a giant piranha just has giant piranha teeth, a mouth full of little serrated triangles scaled up. It doesn't. The Goliath carries somewhere between 12 and 20 teeth on top and 8 to 14 on the bottom, and each one can grow up to 2.5 centimeters, an inch of solid cone shaped like a dagger. They don't soar. When the mouth closes, the upper teeth slide down into grooves cut into the lower jaw, interlocking so precisely that the whole set works as a single edge. It isn't a mouth full of knives, it's one guillotine. And that guillotine is backed up by a second set of crushing teeth deeper in the throat. The same kind of pharyngeal weaponry you find in sharks. A Goliath doesn't nibble at the edges of things. It takes fish up to around 40% of its own body length, clamps down and shears them in 2, then swallows the pieces. When food runs short, it turns that bite on its own kind, taking chunks out of other Goliaths without hesitation. There is no restraint in the design, no version of this animal that eats gently. It is built around one motion, closing a blade, and everything else about it exists to deliver that blade to a target. That's how you get a clean half moon out of a crocodile. The bite doesn't tear a piece loose the way a shark worries at prey. It cuts straight through, closing on flesh like scissors through paper. And the teeth stay perfect because the fish grows a fresh set constantly, replacing all the teeth in a section of jaw over roughly 5 days. It never hunts with a dull edge. There is always a new one coming in behind the old. So the obvious story writes itself. Bigger than a piranha, armed with an inch of interlocking dagger, able to cut prey in half. Case closed, it wins by being the biggest and the sharpest. Except that story collapses the moment you look at how it actually lives, because size and teeth are not the reason nothing else owns its water. Here's the first crack. Piranhas win by numbers. Their whole terror is the swarm, dozens of mouths hitting the same body at once. The Goliath tigerfish does none of that. It's a solitary hunter. No pack, no frenzy, no safety in a school. One fish, alone, against whatever it decides to attack. If dominance were just about size and bite, a lone hunter would be at a constant disadvantage, picked apart the moment it met anything organized. It isn't. So bulk and teeth can't be the whole answer. Something else keeps this fish at the top by itself. The answer is the water. The Goliath tigerfish doesn't live in the slow, warm, tangled backwaters most predators prefer. It needs fast-moving, highly oxygenated water, the deep channels and open lakes, and the violent stretches where rivers turn white and loud. It avoids the calm, marshy shallows almost entirely. And that single preference changes everything, because that's turbulent. Oxygen-rich water is exactly where most other big predators struggle to function. The Goliath didn't fight its way to the top of a crowded habitat. It moved into the one arena its rivals can't survive in and took it uncontested. You can see the same choice play out in two very different places. In the rivers, it owns the rapids and the deep driving channels. In Lake Tanganyika, one of the largest and deepest lakes on the planet, it works the open, oxygen-rich water far from the shallows, ranging across space most predators never use. River or lake, the pattern holds. It goes where the water is fast or vast and well charged with oxygen, and it lets that single requirement draw the map of its entire life. The habitats look nothing alike. The rule behind them is identical. But living in that kind of water is a problem as much as a strategy, and solving it is where this fish gets genuinely strange. To hunt in fast current, you have to be faster, and the Goliath is built as a pure sprint engine. Reports put its burst speed as high as 54 kilometers an hour, around 34 miles an hour, a launch that turns a stretch of open river into a killing lane. That explosive muscle is why it needs the oxygen. A body that accelerates like that burns fuel violently, and burning fuel fast demands oxygen delivered fast, which is exactly what cold, churning water provides. The speed, the muscle, and the habitat aren't three separate facts. They're one chain. The fish is chained to oxygen because of the way it strikes. And there's the question the speed raises. White water is loud, silty, broken up with foam and shadow. How does a solitary hunter find anything in that chaos before the prey feels it coming? Part of the answer is eyesight, and the Goliath has sharp eyes. But the other part is that it doesn't rely on seeing alone. It can pick up low-frequency vibration in the water, the pressure waves that a moving body pushes ahead of itself. In turbulent current, A smaller fish struggling to hold position is broadcasting its location without knowing it. The Goliath waits in the calmer eddies at the edge of the rapids, in the seam where fast water meets slow, reading those vibrations. And when something crosses the line, it launches out of the still water into the current and closes the gap before the prey can react. Think about what that means from the prey's side. In the open, they might see it coming. In the white water the Goliath prefers, they often can't see it, can't hear it over the roar, and can't outswim the current it's using as a weapon. The prey's normal defenses, vision and flight, are the two things this environment cancels. The Goliath didn't just get bigger and sharper than the Amazon's fish. It picked the one place where a prey animal's senses fail, and it built its whole body around hunting there. In its own stretch of river, that combination makes it the ceiling of the food web. Whatever swims there answers to it. Smaller fish tune their whole existence around avoiding the fast seams where it hunts, and in doing so they surrender the richest, most oxygenated water to the one animal built to use it. A single predator reshapes how everything beneath it moves, feeds, and hides, not by patrolling every meter of river, but by making certain places unaffordable to enter. That is what an apex actually is. Not the strongest thing present, but the thing whose mere presence rewrites the map for everyone else. That's why the crocodile comparison matters. And it's also where the invincible monster version of this story has to break. The tigerfish takes chunks out of crocodiles. That part is real, documented, and exactly as unsettling as it sounds. A fish attacking a reptile that most of the animal kingdom flees. But the relationship runs both ways. The Nile crocodile is the only known natural predator of a mature Goliath tigerfish. Nothing else reliably eats a full-grown one. The single animal on Earth that preys on this fish is the same animal walking around with bites taken out of it. Predator and prey wear each other's marks. And that mutual damage is the clue that the Goliath's dominance isn't about being untouchable, it's about a trade. Because the same thing that makes this fish unbeatable is also the thing that traps it. Go back to the metabolism. That sprint engine, that oxygen-hungry muscle, is a magnificent weapon and an unbreakable leash at the same time. The Goliath can't leave the fast water. It can't drift down into the slow, warm, low oxygen stretches where life is easier, because in that water it would suffocate. The apex predator of the Congo's rapids is a prisoner of the exact conditions that made it apex. Its greatest strength has drawn a hard border around its entire world, and it cannot step over that line without dying. And it isn't only the adult that's boxed in. This monster does not begin as a monster. A Goliath starts life as a larva small enough to feed on drifting animal plankton. No threat to anything, prey to almost everything. It grows slowly, only a few inches a year, and it can take close to a decade to reach full size. For those 10 years, it is not the thing that bites crocodiles. It is the thing that other predators, including its own species, are trying to bite. And it gets there only because the females gather and migrate to breed, laying enormous clutches of eggs, hundreds of thousands at a time, then leaving them. No care, no defense, just numbers thrown at the odds. The apex of the river spends the first tenth of its life as one of the most vulnerable animals in it, and its future depends entirely on being able to complete that breeding migration, and on a river that still moves the way it always has. That leash reframes the fear too. You'll read that the Goliath tigerfish is the only freshwater fish in Africa with documented attacks on humans. And that's true. People have been badly cut by them. But look closely at how those attacks happen. This is a fish tuned to detect movement and vibration, and to strike at it explosively, without deliberation. Someone washing clothes at the river's edge, a child splashing, a leg moving through the shallows near fast water. All of it can trip the same reflex that fires at a fleeing fish. The Goliath isn't hunting people. It isn't stalking the banks with intent. It's a loaded spring that reacts to disturbance, and occasionally a human limb supplies the disturbance. The wounds are real. The malice is imported by us. Separate the reflex from the intent, and the man-eater shrinks back into what it actually is. An animal doing exactly one thing extremely well. None of this makes it safe to be around, which is part of why so few people have ever seen one in the flesh. The Goliath lives in some of the most remote and difficult water on the continent, and it fights like it. Anglers who chase it need wire leaders because the teeth slice through ordinary line, and a hooked Goliath throws itself out of the water again and again, trying to shake free. When the television host Jeremy Wade set out to film one for River Monsters, it took him years of failure before he finally landed a fish that most people had only heard about in stories. That's the reality behind the legend. Not a common terror lurking under every dock, but a rare, difficult specialist that has made itself nearly impossible to reach by living where almost nobody can follow. And that specialization, the thing that built it, is now the thing most likely to undo it. The Goliath's survival depends on water that moves fast and carries oxygen. Slow that water down and you pull the floor out from under the entire animal. Dams do exactly that. They calm the current, warm the water, and drop the oxygen in the stretches behind them, converting a Goliath's habitat into a place a Goliath cannot breathe. Worse, they wall off the migration routes the females need to reach their breeding grounds. The Congo is a river people have every reason to want to dam, for power, for development, for millions of lives. But the fish that rules its rapids can't negotiate with a wall. It can outswim a crocodile and outsense its prey and cut a reptile in half, and it has no answer at all for a river that simply stops flowing. The one predator it cannot beat is stillness. So put the whole picture back together, because the easy version and the real version are not the same. The easy version says the Goliath tigerfish is a giant piranha that wins with size and teeth. And that version isn't wrong so much as shallow. Yes, it's a giant relative of the piranha, part of the same great group of characin fish. Yes, an adult is close to untouchable. But that's not why it sits at the top. It sits at the top because it did something none of the Amazon's celebrated killers did. It specialized into the harshest water available, built a body that could sprint and strike when nothing else could hold position, learned to hunt by feeding the river instead of only watching it, and grew a self-renewing guillotine to finish what the speed started. Every piece depends on the others. Take away the oxygen and the whole machine stops. There's a deeper point hiding in the comparison too. The piranha in the Amazon and the Goliath in the Congo arrived at nearly the same weapon, interlocking teeth on a fast predatory characin, on two different continents, separated by an ocean and by millions of years of separate history. Evolution ran the same experiment twice and got the same brutal answer both times, which is about the strongest evidence you can have that the design works. The Amazon just got the small edition. The Congo got the version with the space, the current, and the oxygen to take that same blueprint all the way to 150 pounds. Which brings us back to that crocodile in the whitewater, still carrying its clean half-moon scar. At the start, it looked like proof of a monster. A fish that bites crocodiles, and it is that. But now the same image means something more honest. Even the one animal that can eat this fish doesn't get to do it for free. The Goliath marks its own predator on the way down. Nothing in its world walks away untouched. Not the prey it shears in half, not the crocodile that finally takes it, not the fish itself, held inside a cage of fast water it can never leave. And the Amazon, the river that owns the entire reputation for freshwater terror, the place your mind went the second you heard the word tigerfish, it has nothing to do with any of it. The most complete freshwater predator that lineage ever produced grew up on the other side of the planet, in a river most people will never see, doing all of this in water too violent to film. The Amazon should be terrified of the Goliath tigerfish for the simplest reason there is. It borrowed the crown from a fish it never even met. There's plenty we still don't know for certain. Whether fear is even the right word for what a fish does when it avoids something, or whether that top speed holds up under careful measurement, or whether a species this locked into one kind of water has any flexibility left if the rivers keep changing. What isn't in doubt is the shape of the thing. A blade with a metabolism, sitting in the seam between still water and chaos, waiting for the next vibration to cross the line.